All right, everybody's favorite thing, more lawnmower tune-up videos, coming in hot. So this is my cousin's Ferris IS1500z, which I believe has a 25 horsepower Kawasaki FH721V, because yeah, I don't really know if that's exactly what that says, and that's all I have to go on at the moment. She asked me to do a tune-up on the thing, and then didn't have a tune-up kit, so I'm trying to see what I can do and what I need to buy. But we're just going to go through the whole tune-up process on this thing. At the moment, I'm investigating the air filter, and it should probably be changed, but we're just going to blow it out for now, for time being, and we'll see what we need to do. And I'm just going by and looking at things, and I'm going to go over the whole tune-up procedure and just see what needs to be done. You know, things like air filter, oil change, oil filter. I'm hoping I have a compatible filter lying around. Fuel filter. I can look at the hydraulic oil. I don't have anything to top it off with. I might set the valves, you know, readjust valve timing, because I noticed that she's missing a valve cover bolt, but it's pretty grimy in there, and I don't know if I want to get in there. We're going to pull the plugs, check the plugs, gap them, clean them, replace them if we need be, because hopefully I have some lying around. I think these Kawasaki's will take the same thing that my Jeep takes, and if not, I think I've got some old ones from a 20-something horsepower John Deere Kawasaki, so we'll see. And we're going to go by and grease things up. Looks like this thing doesn't have actually all that many grease points. Looks like it's just down here on the front wheels. These front kingpins appear to be sealed bearing units, and then top of the spindles over here. And so that really should just be it. Check air pressure, other stuff, and send it on its merry way. All right, we're going to start with the air filter because I already have it out. This puppy has a dual air filter with lots of airflow, which is nice because this sand out here just clogs the filter like you wouldn't believe. So this is the inner filter. This is a much finer media. This is to catch all the fine garbage that gets through this bad boy. This bad boy is your regular paper filter, which is just jam full of sand on this one. So we're just going to blow 120 psi compressed air through there, stick that guy back in there, blow that housing out, and try and clean that as best as we can with compressed air, and just generally beat it on things and see what we can do. But that sucker needs to be replaced, so we'll do that eventually. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to clean it up and get it, you know, going, just in case your mower's got bad MPGs and, you know, stalling and whatnot. So I'll do that real quick and try not to breathe in all the sand. And just like that, we have a brand used filter. Doesn't even look the damn same. And I'm no expert, but I feel like this engine might have a bit of an oil leak, considering I just blew all of that off. Yeah, it is a mower. They all do that. But anyway, that's the air filter done. That cleaned up really nice. I've never actually seen a paper filter clean that well, so no need to replace that. Not unless, you know, you just so happen to have a filter lying around. All right, well, I think the next course of action is going to be spark plugs. I got to go Google what the gap is on these. It's probably 30 thou. Pull them out, check them, see if any of them are oily. They probably won't be. See if any of them are burnt out. Probably won't be. If they're burnt out or oily, we'll clean them up if they're oily. And if they're burnt out, we'll replace them. Hopefully I have some lying around that'll do that. So I'm going to go pop those suckers out real quick. Either 5/8 or 13/16. Those are 13/16. So slap them out, check them, and see if they're good to go with just, you know, a quick refresh, or we got to go to the parts store. All right, plugs are out, and as you can see, they've been running rich. So it doesn't look like they've got any oil on them, just lots of carbon. So I should be able to clean these up with a brass brush, brake clean, and a propane torch. And if not, these appear to be, yep, NGK BPR 4ESs. I have some spare ones of those in there for the Kawasaki I mentioned before, so hopefully that means that the oil filter I have in here for said Kawasaki, or I think this guy, no, I think this one might have been for Kohler. Anyway, I think I have a spare oil filter somewhere in here that should fit this thing. And I got this Wix filter, which is 3/8. I think this is 3/8. Looks like it is. That should fit. So that'll get me a nice new fuel filter. And I believe I have enough goop up here that I can do an oil change. May not have enough 10W30. This may take 5W30. I have enough 5W30 at the very least. Now I have some more 10W30 up there I can use, but that's good stuff. I don't really want to use it. But anywho, we shall see. I should also even be able to get into the valve covers and set valve lash, or at least check it. Okie dokie, got the spark plugs cleaned up, stuck them back in there. The gap is 30 thou, as could be predicted. They cleaned up pretty well with a brass brush, some brake clean, and a little bit of heat. Was going to replace the fuel filter, but I have a million 3/8 filters and a million 1/4-inch filters and no 5/16 left, so we're just gonna leave that guy on there because it's still doing all right. And we came over here and started draining the oil. Turns out I do in fact have an oil filter, and I do have enough oil. The oil spec for this Kawasaki 721V, and you need to, or FH721V, and you need to make sure you have the correct engine. This is a Kawasaki 25 horsepower. There's, I think, like 5 different kinds of engine that'll come in this model of mower. But for me, thankfully, this oil filter that I had for that Kohler over there that doesn't actually have an oil filter on it is the correct size. I was able to get the tag off of the Wix filter that was in here. I forget what size it was. It was a Wix 51394, which mics out to a 3/4-inch thread oil filter, 3/4 inch by 16. I'm fairly certain that one of these is not fine thread or something like that. That's 3 inches deep and has a lip that's just a hair under 2 3/4 and has a gasket that's 2 1/2. And this one measured up to close enough. And if you look, they're, you know, the same size. So we're going to swap that on there. And if it doesn't swap on there, we're just going to put the old one back on because it's a lawnmower and it can, you know, you can run an oil filter for a little bit longer, although those are pretty tiny. And it says you can basically put whatever the hell oil you want in this, depending on your climatic conditions. And for my climate, 10W40 is the best that's recommended. However, I only have 1/4 10W40 on me at the moment. Well, actually, I think I do have some more 10W40, but that's in the Mercedes, and I'm not putting it in this. However, I do have a big glug of 15W40, and since we're basically subtropical, 15 weight is not going to hurt this thing. For a cold start. I mean, it says that you can use straight 30 weight, so using a, you know, multi-viscosity that's 1540 is not going to make a world of difference. If I can run this thing on straight 30 weight, I can run it on 15W40. If I can do straight 40 weight and I can do 10W40 and I can do 5W20, I can do 15W40. This thing is not going to be run in sub-freezing temperatures, so having a 15 winter weight is not going to hurt anything. So that's what we're going to use. And it's diesel oil. And it's super. So, you know, it's got to be good for it. That's the general plan. And I think the only other thing I can do to this is grease points and checking valve clearance. Valve clearance for this is approximately, on average, should be 4 thou for both intake and exhaust. It says anywhere between 3 and 5 thou, which is pretty standard. It's actually a little bit tighter than most. So we'll pop those valve covers off if they want to come off. And we'll just check on those and make sure they're correct, set them if they're not. Come over here, pump a little bit of grease down in here, in there. And I don't know if there's a central pin in here that needs greasing. Doesn't look like it. So I think that's all the grease points I've found so far is just those 2 and those 3. So pretty straightforward, a lot less grease points than most. All right, so I went ahead and greased things up. There is one extra grease point I found, which is that guy right there. Still have not found any other. Not on any of the rollers. That central axis pin up there doesn't have one. And, I mean, everything over here is, you know, chain mounted, or hydraulic or whatever up in here. So, yeah. Not any more than that. Looks like the oil's about done. So we're going to attempt to get that oil filter off. And I did check it, and the thing is, you know, on there, finger tight. So that probably has something to do with why that whole side of the engine is covered in oil. All right, old oil is out, new oil is in, new filter is in. The filter is actually the correct filter. I just checked. It's the same Kawasaki part number as what's supposed to go in here, so that's incredibly convenient that I had that lying around. Just filled her up with oil. She is plumb full. Filter's empty, so she's a little bit high. Probably put a little bit more in there than she needed, but, you know, she leaks oil, so she'll leak it out. And I think now I am going to try get into these valve covers, I think. just to see what they look like, and we'll do this one, and then we'll work our way over to the other one, and hopefully we don't rip a gasket. If we rip a gasket, probably won't open the other one. But I think that is it for a regular tune-up. You don't need to go in and do that every tune-up. This is just something you need to do every umpteen thousand miles. I don't think it's ever been done on this. So I'm just going to get in there with the gauge and check, just to make sure things are still hunky-dory. But that should be it. I'm going to go around, check air pressure, pull some moss out of rollers, you know, that kind of stuff. But that should be it. So let me go do that right quick and see if we can get her to fire up and see whether or not she's going to throw a rod or not. All right, valves are adjusted, just spilled oil everywhere getting to them. You have to take this guy off in order to be able to turn the engine over so that you can actually set the valves. Like I said before, it's 4 thou on both of them. Somewhere between 3 and 5 is what it calls for, so try and shoot for 4 thou. I had to adjust exhaust valve over there and both intake and exhaust over here. The intake over here was still at 5 thou, so I just left it. And yeah, these Kawasaki valves are always annoying to adjust because you need a 14/9/16 millimeter wrench, preferably box end, and a whatever size this is, SAE hex key. And what you have to do is hold the hex key in place and then loosen the 14 millimeter nut, and then you turn the hex key out to tighten the valve, because the hex key sits the bottom of the that larger 14 millimeter nut. So you turn the hex key in to change the depth of the screw so that when you tighten the 14 millimeter, it locks down into an either a farther or a closer position, which in turn presses on the actual rocker arm, which then changes the valve height. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, if it's loose, you loosen the big nut, and then you loosen the hex key, and then you hold the hex key in place, and then you tighten the big nut, and that'll tighten it. It's really finicky, and it's annoying, and I wish it was just, you know, a regular lock nut design, but whatever. I digress. 6 1/2 dozen the other. So I think that's all I can do to this thing. She's been greased. I did the blades on this 6 months ago for my cousin, so I'm not doing those again. I did check them. They're pretty worn, but they still have the mulcher blade on them. They're just dull, but no point in sharpening them because I'm just going to take metal off of it. And that's it. Guess we'll just fire it up, and we'll see whether or not it likes 15W40 in that new oil filter. All right. Let's see if she cranks. Engage dog. Well, she's done. Just went around, cut some grass with her. Cut's fine. Didn't blow up. Didn't throw a rod. Not smoking any more than it should be. That's a lot of dirt. Yeah. So, looks like she's going to like that 15W40. I think it should actually do really well here in this hot weather. Plus, it's dirt cheap. And we'll just make sure real quick that we're not over full. Skosh. Couple ounces. Nothing that a mower won't chew through. All right. Well, that's done. That was quick. I'm surprised I actually had enough to do everything. The only thing I couldn't do was fuel filters and new spark plugs. All I've got is used spark plugs that are the same, but spark plugs are still fine. Fuel filter still looks pretty good. Could stand to be changed, but, you know, it'll go another year. So, yeah, I hope this video helps. If it did, consider giving the video a like, comment, tell me if there's something else you want to see done with one of these. I don't think my cousin's going to let me work on her $8,000 commercial mower, just for the fun of it, nor do I really want to take on that liability. But, yeah, who knows? We may run across something that we need to do for you and for her. And if you want to see anything else to do with this mower or anything else, I don't know what else anyone would ever want to see other than just, you know, people working on mowers, you gotta subscribe, so smash the big red button. And until next time, I'm out.